An advocate is someone who proactively talks about a brand in a positive way to their friends, family, colleagues, and even the guy they get chatting to whilst waiting in line at the cinema. Andrew Weir, a director at Zenith Optimedia Worldwide, came up with a wonderfully concise way of describing how people become brand advocates. He calls it the path to advocacy. Here's how it works. There are 3 stages: promise, deliver, delight. In the first stage, the brand makes a promise to the customer about what it will do for them. And the customer takes 2 steps along the path. First, they notice the brand, and second, they choose it. The second stage is the deliver stage. In this stage, the brand keeps the promise made in the first stage by delivering it to the consumer, and the customer takes 2 more steps along the path to advocacy. They buy into the brand and they use it. The final stage along the path is called delight, and it's in this stage that the brand delights its consumers by exceeding their expectations. And the final 2 steps along the path to advocacy for the consumer are be loyal and be a fan. Okay, so now you have an understanding how the path works. Let's take a closer look at each of the steps along the path, and let's relate them to a typical smaller business so you can see just how this might work in a practical sense. Notice is quite simply the time when someone first becomes aware of a brand. The word brand is used in a very generic way here. You could quite easily replace it with the word product or service. So imagine you were selling diet plans online. The notice stage would be the time when someone first comes across your product offering. The next stage is choose. This is when a customer decides your product or service might well meet their needs, and so adds it to the shortlist of products they're seriously considering buying. So in the case of the online diet plans, they may have looked at various other offerings from organisations such as Weight Watchers and decided that what you are offering is a possible contender that they may well choose. Next, we have the buy stage. This is sometimes referred to as the first moment of truth. They've made a decision and they're taking that big step and are investing some of their hard-earned money into your product or service. This might be when they walk into a shop and hand over cash, or it could be an online order form they complete, or it could be a once removed transaction where they're buying your product via a third party such as a retailer or a distributor. The second moment of truth is the next stage. This is the use stage. The second moment of truth is that very first time that the person uses the product or service. In the case of the diet plan, it might be when they receive delivery of it and start reading through what it says. That first time is the second moment of truth, a crucial milestone along the path. But the use stage itself includes every time the person uses your product or service. So far, so good. The customer noticed your product, chose to consider it as a viable option, bought it, and are now using it. And they're now on to the next step, and that is the loyal stage. This is when the person buys your product again. Maybe your online diet plan covers a 12-week period, so the time when they would be considered to be entering the loyal stage is when they purchase that next 12-week period. The penultimate stage is when they become a fan. This point arrives when the customer is happy with their purchase and feels well treated and valued by the company. And then there's one final stage, and that is when they move from being just a fan who loves your product into an advocate who proactively spreads the word about your brand to anyone who is willing to listen, and often even to those who aren't even interested. An advocate is someone who likes a product so much that they're willing to stake their own reputation on it. They'll tell friends and family that this is the thing that they need to buy. They'll evangelize at work, in the bar after work, and at social events. And this is why my second golden rule is to create advocates. It's like having a massive army of unpaid salesmen spreading the word far and wide, 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Companies who have lots of brand advocates spend far less on advertising than those who are having to spread the word themselves. But most important of all, in my opinion, is that people are far more likely to believe what they hear from a friend or colleague than they are to believe what they hear in an advertisement or read in the press. And even if you don't know this advocate personally, you're still more likely to believe them than the mass media, which is why people turn to sites such as TripAdvisor to get the lowdown on hotels and restaurants. They know that the restaurants and hotels are going to say that they are the best you can get and why eat or stay anywhere else. That's their opinion, and they're going to be understandably biased. But when you read dozens or even hundreds of reviews that have an opinion, who are you going to believe? Now, don't worry yourself if not every customer you have becomes an advocate. That will never happen. Even if you have the best product or service in the world, there will always be some people who love it and some who don't. That's life, and you need to accept it. But always aim to create as many advocates as you can, whilst accepting that for every 10 people who send you a lovely testimonial, there's likely to be an 11th person who thinks your product stinks. That's cool. Thank the 11th person for their input. Take on board any valid suggestions they have, but then focus all your attention on doing everything you can to move those other 10 along that path to becoming advocates, as those are the people who, if you get it right, will create the future for your business. See you in the next session.